I think kids deserve more privacy. I remember having discussions about this when I was younger, and I'd always get the same sort of response of, oh, you'll understand when you're older, or you'll agree when you're older. And now that I'm a little bit older, I gotta say, I still agree with my original views. Specifically, I'm talking about real life privacy and not on the internet or phones, because I firsthand have seen the effects, bad effects of the phones and internet and whatnot, whether that be the consequences of seeing something that you shouldn't see at a really young age just because it's fucking there, or in real life consequences that it can have, or social engineering and clicking a bad link and hacking and all that bullshit, falling the victim to of all that. But specifically, I just want to talk about real life privacy because I've seen both ends of the spectrum. I've seen kids that have parents that are fucking on them like hawks, and then I've seen kids that have parents that don't give a fuck about them. And I think that there's bad effects on both ends of those spectrums, and there's a middle ground that a lot of parents just don't see. But specifically, I think I have the biggest problem with the parents that are super controlling. I mean, like they homeschool their kids and they're fucking on them constantly. Because when you do stuff like that, you're pretty much setting up your kids to be social rejects and honestly just fucking losers. I mean, you're setting them up to be bullied. I've had conversations with kids that have been homeschooled their entire lives and they're just controlled by their parents and they don't have any social interaction outside of their small community, and they end up being fucking weirdos. They end up not being able to hold a conversation, and you set them up to be losers. I mean, you just do. And I'm not trying to shit on kids that get homeschooled, because I did homeschooling my second year of high school. I went into real schools all the way up until my freshman year, and I did homeschooling, and I even wish I had done it sooner. It was great, loved it. But I also was able to still talk to all my friends that I had made all the way up until my freshman year, and I didn't have super controlling parents, so I was able to socialize and go out and still be able to fucking hold a conversation and talk. And when you're so controlling, when you're so like just keeping your kids in a fucking metal box and never letting them out because you're afraid of what will happen to them, what ends up happening to them is the bad things that you were worried about. They end up being fucking losers. I've had conversations with people where they've described to me how when they walk in the fucking supermarket, the voice inside of their head is constantly on and constantly wondering about if all the people in the store are thinking about them, or God forbid they have to have a conversation with the fucking deli clerk about what kind of turkey they want, because then that'll be some sort of social interaction. I mean, you are creating mental illness, you are creating social anxiety, you're creating possibly very dangerous young men, or very mentally ill women when you isolate them. When you're trying to protect them from the outside world, you are ending up creating the outside world that you're trying to protect them from. You're creating the dangerous people you're trying to protect your children from by isolating them. Isolation in moderation is a good thing. But when it comes to the point where they're afraid to talk to the fucking deli guy about what kind of turkey they want, that's when you've created a fucking weirdo. And then the other side of the conversation, which is parents that don't give a fuck, I think speaks for itself. I mean, if you're not involved in your kid's life, they could possibly get into drugs, or they can get into abusive relationships, and that's how sexual abuse and assaults can happen and whatnot, because you're just not involved in their life. So I think there's a middle ground to it. I think there's a situation where you can allow your kids to lead their own life and make their own mistakes, but also be present in that life and present for those mistakes. And it's just something that you're going to have to experience for yourself. But when it comes to this shit, I don't even fucking know, because it's like on one side of it, I know how incredibly dangerous it can be and how incredibly hard it can be to control and how incredibly hard it can be to monitor without being either on the far right or left of the side of it. But I've also seen how amazing it can be and how incredible it can be. I mean, I've built a business from the internet. I've created a lot of. I made a lot of fucking money from the internet. I'll just be blunt about it. You know what I mean? I've done a lot of good stuff from it. I've made a lot of lifelong friends. So there's a lot of good things from it, and then there's also a lot of bad things. And the middle ground for that is something that my parents weren't able to find, because it's like they were experiencing it as it was happening, and me even looking at it now, I think that's just a whole different discussion, because I don't even know exactly what the middle ground for it would be, because it's just so complicated and it's so easy to hide things and whatnot. So in conclusion, Don't be a fucking controlling freak. Also, when I was talking about having the conversations with the homeschooled kids and all of that, I've had a lot of those conversations from my main Discord server, the Bright Cave, but frankly, that Discord server is really big. It's got 50,000 members, and honestly, it's toxic. And so I want to have a Discord server where it's less people and I can have more real conversations with people that know the real side of me, and just to have chill conversations. And so I'm going to be making a Discord server that is going to be only promoted from this video. I'm not going to promote it anywhere else, so it's going to be a small thing. So if you want to have some conversations in that, that's going to be the first link in the description. We can have like VCs and stuff, because honestly, I'm interested. I'm interested in your problems. I mean, I've got problems of my own. I'm wearing a fucking clown mask, for God's sakes. But I'm interested in having a conversation, and I'm interested in having more discussions that like this, more discussions like this. So, first link in the description if you're interested. Only promoted from this video, and yeah,